Um, Hi, my name is DTigertron. I am a non-binary variety streamer. Um, I am looking to stream and play in actual plays, D&D advice, City of Mist advice. I'm really going to try to focus on City of Mist because it's a system that I love and not enough people know about it, let alone are playing it, and this needs to change. This is Morthar, by the way, the little setting you see in the back. Um, that's my primary setting that I like to run as my home brew. It is a city. It's a wizard city. Like it's a bunch of wizard towers that makes up a city. Um, much like other fictional settings you've seen before, where the it doesn't need to make sense structurally because magic holds it together, right? Let's just look at the quick start rules. Okay. For right now, we'll just look at the quick start. Just get a taste. Just get a little taste. It's a detective role-playing game in a city of ordinary people and legendary powers. Welcome to the city of legends made flesh. By the way, they just did. I know I'm jumping all over the place again. Sorry, ADHD, uh, undiagnosed, whatever it is. But just real quick before we really get into it, they just did a Kickstarter too for a brand new expansion, and so it's a very active um, developer, and they have had many different expansions. Um, I'll be looking to get my hands on as many of them as I can. But just so you know, like I know this game came out a while ago. Nobody really talks about it. They're still working on it. Now I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to try to put it in front of as many people as I can. All right. But now we're gonna get focused. We're gonna read these things and we're gonna figure out what they mean to us and what they mean to like trying to make an actual play out of them. We'll brainstorm some ideas about one shots because I want to have a series of one shots for people that don't know me yet to get to know me as a dungeon master slash game master. We'll see what this game calls it. So I'm gonna write down here one shot brainstorm, okay? And as we read, if things pop out to us, feel free to comment in the chat um, ideas that you might have that you might want to see, or if you just want to help me out. If not, and you're looking to like do this yourself, and you're like, that's my idea. That's fine. You're fine. You don't have to share it with us. I'm just happy that you're here, and hopefully that you're going to enjoy this content. Real quick before we get too much further into this, I just want to ask the Magic 8 Ball. Let's see if this works. Is this going to be a fun stream? A-Ball says yesterday it would have been a yes, but today it's a yep. So that's working. I think that's the only one that, as far as like, is a playful thing right now. But hey, that's working. Haunted Metropolis. Individuals from all walks of life become rifts to mythical powers from beyond, torn between their personal lives and the legend growing within them. Right off rip, that haunted, man. I definitely want there to be ghosts. I'm just gonna write ghosts. In the shadow of shiny skyscrapers, blah, 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 blah. In the shadows of shiny skyscrapers. I mean, they did that on purpose, right? Shadows of shiny skyscrapers. You try saying that 3 times fast. And derelict residential blocks. Ancient stories, ancient, and urban legends assume physical form, seeping into the city through rifts in mortal form. But the mist, a mystical veil known only to a select few, prevents the unwitting denizens of the city from ever acknowledging the miracles they witness, daily hiding their true nature from one another, distracted by their everyday hopes and fears. The people on the streets remain oblivious to the clash of mythical forces that drive and control the very life of the city. Okay, so normals don't know that anything weird is going on. Normal being like people that are not rifts, right? People that don't have these legends as part of them. They just think it's and every other, it's just another Tuesday or Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, everybody. But yeah, they don't know anything weird's going on in the city. They're just like, yeah, it's a city. I'm just here to live my best life, do my best to get by, whatever the case may be. And that's interesting. We'll read further on how they like double down on that. So just keep that in mind. You were an ordinary person until the seed of legendary awoke within you. Now you seek answers to questions about your powers, but the truth always seems to elude you. That's important too. Parts of your legend, this thing that's happening to you, is unknown to the other side of you, the normal side of you, and that's a mechanic of the game, is trying to figure out what is happening to you, which I really like. I really like those part of the stories about people who get their powers, their origin stories and stuff, and how they're like, what is happening? Why is this happening? And I like that it's a mechanic of the game, okay? At the same time, you still want what every human being wants. Love, money, power, peace of mind. Together with your ragtag crew of gifted individuals, you work to reveal the powers of operating in the dark, smoky alley of the city, just as those very powers seek you out for what you are. You will hit the streets in search of the strange cases, loose ends, and unsolved mysteries that will lead you to the truth, inevitably clashing with other legends in mortal form, agents of the powers beyond the mist. So, agents of the powers beyond the mist means lots of things in this game. Keep that in mind. But yeah, I love the way that whole paragraph is phrased, but especially the parts that's like, there are other rifts out there. You don't know what their motivations are. Just because they have had things happen to them, and have changed in some ways similar to you, doesn't mean that they are going to respond to it the same way, right? Be warned, the truth is as dangerous as the forces that hide it. Only when you find yourself sacrificing that which is dearest to you will you truly learn the answer to the ultimate question: who am I? But will it be worth it? Can you handle the truth? You can't handle the truth. Alright. What is City of Mist? City of Mist is a role-playing game of film noir, investigation, and superpowered actions. It is set in a modern metropolis rife with crime, conspiracies, and mysteries. The protagonists are rifts, ordinary people who became the living embodiment of a legend. Their mythos. You see how certain keywords are highlighted, right? While your rift may seek to strike a balance between the mysterious nature of their mythos and their mortal aspirations, the powers within them always threaten to tear their lives apart. They have unwittingly become a part of a secret world of clashing stories, and soon other legends will come along looking for them with demands. The City of Mist game system focuses on cinematic action, drama, and investigation. It emphasizes narrative role playing by introducing the following features. Again, this game ain't like some other role playing games. This is going to be very different, but once you wrap your head around it and you try it, I promise you, being different is part of its advantages. Being different is a good thing, especially in this case. So here's some of the features, some of the ways that City of Mist tries to make the game more cinematic. Okay? Rich character motivations built around compelling mysteries and identities. Play to your character's theme to gain their benefits and evolve them or go against them to discover new aspects within you with a unique non-linear character evolution system. Okay? Does that make sense? That's something to wrap your head around right here. This very first thing. Okay? Play to your character's themes. Why did you make this character the way that you made them? Right? You wanted to tell their story, right? You wanted to tell this character's story, and you built this character in a certain way to tell a specific story. Right? No, this game is not so reliant on your DM going to your backstory and digging through your backstory and having like a long conversation with you, try to figure out exactly the story you're trying to tell. It's right there on your character cards. Okay? It's also in session 0. Like those are important things to do. Talk to your game masters, dungeon masters, tabletops, and make sure that you have an understanding with each other of the story you want to tell, your character arc. Okay? But it's right, like, once you get your head around how to create these characters, it's right there on your paper for both you and your DM to take advantage of. Okay? The hotkeys are working awesome. Okay? So you've played to your themes, you gain benefits. Okay? It rewards. That's probably not what I wanted to do. I was trying to unmute and it sent me here. So maybe that's a bad key. Bad hotkey. This is just, everything's bad now. Sorry, especially for this white screen. It's just back all the way back here. Okay. Play to your character's themes to gain their benefits and evolve them or go against them to discover new aspects within you with a unique non-linear character evolution system. So what does that mean? Okay. Your character, just by being a person who has been like a normal person their whole life and now has a story in them, there's a push-pull right there. Just by having that be a part of who every character is, blah 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 blah. Just by that being part of every PC, a part of every other rift you meet in the world, that push-pull. Okay? And you're gonna have times where one pushes more or the other one pulls more. And it's gonna go back and forth. And that's what it means by non-linear, okay? You do level up, you do get stronger in ways that you are, if you're playing a character to a certain point. That's why this first part says you play to your character themes to gain their benefits and evolve them. You level up the themes that you are using in the game. But that means you can't do everything. You can't do everything on your character sheet. You're gonna have to give up some things to gain some things, and that's how you have this non-linear growth. You're not going to level 20, level 100, level 6, whatever it's, whatever system you're playing. You're playing a character that is getting stronger in the things they do day to day, and as they are going on their adventures, the things they do over and over again are going to get stronger and more powerful. Whereas the things you neglect, the parts of your life that you don't focus on, that stuff's going to get left behind. All right. So just this one paragraph. Wow, we're in a different world, aren't we? We're in a different world than other TTRPGs, like Dungeons and Dragons. Don't get me wrong, I love Dungeons and Dragons, and the right group, it can be very fun. I run Dungeons and Dragons on Fridays, a home game, okay? In this setting, in Morthog. Obviously, since it's a different system, the setting itself is going to be different. But, actually, wait, no, they're not in Morthog. I just remembered. But at any rate, just this paragraph right here gets me going. I love it. Alright, let's see the next paragraph. No limits for powers, abilities, traits, gear, or allies. Everything in City of Mist is described by free text tags, so you can create exactly the character you want. Okay? Now, there are guides to creating your character. So when it says create the character you want, yes, that's true. And especially if you have the right game master or dungeon master that is willing to work with you to create custom tags. But there is something to sticking to the guides also that can benefit you. Now you do you. If I'm running the table, we're going to work together, and I'm going to make sure you have a character that you love and you're going to enjoy playing, and enjoy the push-pull that comes with this system. The tropes that are built in, though, if you follow the guide, you try to kind of stick to the guides, can be very rewarding and very satisfying. Just understand that. But you probably have no idea what I'm talking about right now. So I'm sorry if I'm getting a little ahead of you. But yeah, there is no limits. Okay, there's no really limits. Play the character you want to play. Have fun. TTRPGs are supposed to be fun. Okay. A narrative engine with an edge. Narrative engine, not combat engine. This isn't based off of old tabletop war games. Okay, this is a narrative engine. It's much more based off of like a TV show, but with an edge. Every action you take in the game is based on the interpretation of your tags. Okay, using moves to deliver dramatic outcomes that drive the story forward. Drives the story forward. How many times are you at your table and one, you can't understand the plot, like your game master is trying to run, you've lost the threads of the plot because everybody's riffing every time. Don't get me wrong, keep doing that. That's one of the most fun parts of playing TTRPGs. Okay? So you're on the table laughing at each other. Even if you get off topic. Doesn't matter. Have fun. But if you're just sitting there at the table and you guys are trying to find the plot, trying to move the story forward, look back at your tags. Look at the story tags the DM has put in front of you. Okay? First and foremost, this is a detective game. If you're a little lost, ask if you can roll to investigate. or if you even need to roll. Game masters, DMs, if they need to find the thing, don't make it depend on a roll. You can make the roll depend on how long it takes to find the thing. Okay? But if the whole plot moving forward depends on them finding the thing, you have to let them find the thing. Even if they're all, let's say you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, even if everybody's rolling nat ones, can't see anything, guess what? They trip over it. They find the darn thing. It just takes them a while, and it's it's embarrassing for the character or whatever. If you have to do whatever you have to do, okay, to move the story forward. And this game, it's hard not to drive the story forward if you're doing it right. If the game master is following the rules, you can have a homebrew and still follow the design of the game and the theme of the game. We'll get into it later, but it helps you. It has all of these things for you. You just have to use the tools it gives you. Alright, next, status spectrums. Spectrums. A new system of narrative damage. Okay? Those are some interesting words. What does that mean? Use descriptors to create any imaginable setback or advantage so that every action in the fiction in and out of combat can have significant gameplay implications. We're going to get more into that. That's a very big, complicated topic that I don't want to misrepresent with you right now. Just know that basically a status is a lot like a status, it's like a lot like a status effect, right? Like if you hurt yourself, okay, if you stub your toe, okay, you now you have a status of hurt toe. All right, no big deal. But if you break your leg, you have the status of broken leg, and you need to run somewhere, that's going to be a problem, right? And that's going to be higher on the spectrum, okay? You stub your toe, it's no big deal. Think of these almost like levels of exhaustion in D&D, okay? The first one's no big deal, but they get worse and worse and worse. And unlike levels of exhaustion, they can get worse fast, okay? But this game uses a system of narrative damage. Again, I didn't just tell you how much damage it takes to go from a stubbed toe to a broken leg. It was just part of the story I just told you. You have this PDF containing a brief review of the setting and basic rules. 7 pre-generated character books. Okay? Let's say creating a character, you're listening to all of this, and you're looking at all of this, and then you hear about how to create a character, and you're like, that's too much. Stop. That's too much for my brain. I'm overloaded already. They have made 7 characters for you to play with before you ever have to make your own character. Read through them, check their vibes, see if that's the kind of character you want to play. See if that's a kind of character you want to play, or at least get an idea of the kinds of characters you can make in this game. Okay? They made 7 for you already. If you're not sure if you're gonna like this game or not, check those out. Play with them with a little bit with the GM. The GM's gonna have to put more into it than that. But yeah, you can grab one of these 7 playbooks and play around. I need to stop. Take a breath. Everybody take a breath. And let's just read what's in front of us. Okay. Before you start playing, the game host or MC, Master of Ceremonies, that's what they call the Dungeon Master in this game. Master of Ceremonies should read this PDF and become familiar with the game. All other players can read the player chapters or leave it to the MC to explain the rules. Then get together with ample free time and snacks. 3-4 hours like a normal night game session would be. Pick your characters, 1 of the 7. Have the MC start the first scene of Venus for going viral, and enter the shadowy alleys of City Mist. Okay? You're gonna learn best by playing. That's with pretty much every system. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've had any system that I haven't like understood better after I played it versus like just reading it. The new All-Seeing Eye Investigation Starter Set. There's a new way to bring City of Mist to your game nights. The new starter set is designed to launch your game with as little prep as possible, learning as you play. Hard-boiled detectives and cunning mob lords hold the mythic powers of characters from the Sumerian saga of Gilgamesh, Greek and Aztec mythology, German fairy tales, and the Bible. Uh, I will not be able to pronounce that right. Fijian folktales? Sorry. I know I probably didn't pronounce that right, and more. But the mysterious force of the mist makes everyone who isn't a legend forget their magic, leaving legends to terrorize the city from the shadows. Can your crew uncover the truth about who is really behind it all? I have to look into that. Find the new starter set in our store. I did not know that was a thing. That is definitely newer since last time I read it. This. Let me down here. Look at new city, because that's very encouraging. I want that for sure. And when I get this, we will go over this as well. I'll make a video, at least a YouTube video about that. And that should be great and fun. But in the meantime, let's get a better idea, wrap our heads around this some more. One thing at least it works for me when learning something new like this, is that the more times I read it, the more times I hear it, the more times I experience it, the more it's going to stick, right? So even if there's a new, slightly different way of doing it, and we're not going to go over all the, everything tonight, but we're going to get a good idea of what it's like, what the experience is like at the table, okay? And try to find more inspiration for these one-shot brainstorms. Right now, all I have is ghosts. It's based off of Power of the Apocalypse. In case you didn't know, City of Mist is built. It's inspired by Power by the Apocalypse. Basically, what that means is you use 2d6, and you can have a mixed success in those 2d6, which I love. Content warning. Game contains mild language as well as strong themes of violence, crime, and immorality. Parental guidance is advised. Pronoun use. For the third person is required. This book refers to characters as she, players as he, and the MC as she as well. This is an arbitrary division for the sake of readability and balance in the use of pronouns. Characters, players, and MCs may be of any or no gender. Very important. Setting, a guide to the city. So, it's called City of Mist. There must be a city in there somewhere. This is just kind of an idea, a top level view. Again, remember all those district books we saw in the store. This is a top level view of the city as a whole, okay? Two worlds exist side by side in the city. There's the world you see, the world of coffee stains and rush hour traffic, of nervous drug dealers and smug politicians. Look around you, what do you see? A plumber plodding along on the rainy streets after a long day of work, or a homeless woman aimlessly wandering the subway train. And then look how the font changes. It's supposed to be harder to see. Isn't that clever how they did that? It's harder to see this part of the city, so it's going to be harder for us to see it. It can be a little annoying if you're used to reading this, and it's going to seem like it's harder to read. It's big enough on my screen, I shouldn't have a problem. But I just think that's a clever thing they did there. This is harder to see, so you have to actually look closer. Then there's the world of legend, myths and stories, symbols and ideas, swirling in a vastness you cannot fathom. They're more real than reality itself, the foundation of all life. The truth is here. So are the commercials. Oh, that's not the right mute button. The more real than reality itself, the foundation of all life. The truth is there, but you cannot see it. Let me unmute. The trafficker is literally a vampire. The politician is narcissist himself. Not a narcissist, narcissist, the entity. The plumber is a primordial reptilian from a time when fire and water was still one. Ooh, what a sentence. The homeless woman is a revenant, an angel of death waiting for a destined soul. The veil of the mist hides the true world from us. The mist envelopes us all in familiar forms, distracts us, and makes us forget the wonders and horrors that lie beyond it. In the city, the mist makes all legends seem filthy, creased, and washed out. They wear a crust of mundanity. I know that's not how you say that word, but that's how I'm going to say it tonight. And forget what they are. But you are a rift through the mist. You are hope and despair. You can bring your legend to life if you dare let go of the illusion you call life. These are kind of like what your character is about. And they're gonna, if you're doing something that plays into a theme of your character, right? If you're at the table and you say, my character would do this, and then the master of ceremonies is, okay, well, let's roll to see how well it goes. And you look down at your themes, okay, and each one of those themes is going to help you. The other night I got confused about that, so I'm not going to say right now about how that works. But basically think of them as modifiers, okay? Each one of your themes are playing into what you're trying to do is going to improve the roll when you roll. Alright. Fleshing out your pre-gen character. So these are the characters that are already made for you. Okay? And just so you know, like, I'm pretty sure that what is it? Oak. Son of Oak Studios has done YouTube videos with all of these characters already on them, okay? So it's not like I'm spoiling anything here. Don't worry about, like, me getting in trouble or whatever. The pre-generated characters leave a lot of details unexplained. You can add background details to your character as you please, starting with her or his real name. Other open questions such as, what was the artifact Lestrange found? What was the artifact Lestrange found? Sorry, the apostrophe from where the angle I was reading, I didn't look like an apostrophe. I know what was going. But Lestrange, that's cool. That's cool. Does that name look familiar? We don't talk about that though. We don't talk about the person who that name reminds me of. Who was in the car with Mitosis when he crashed it? And what did Flicker see in her life-altering vision? Are up to you and the MMC to decide. These are some of the names of these pre-gen characters, just so you know. Alright. See, here's Lestrange right now. It's a guy. Okay? It's not that thing that came to your mind. Deacon Lestrange. It's not actually, like, even close. It's just a similar name. Lestrange, a dubious anti-sealer. Okay. So if you was ever trying to ask the GM about a role, about identifying an antique, you'd be able to add one to that here. Okay. Gunslinger. He's got guns. He can do harm. Has been around long enough. He's just calling him old. He's old. Old and somewhat well traveled, right? Like, he probably has a good idea of at least where in the city to go find if he needed to get an antique or who currently has an antique. Been around can mean several things. One of the reasons why this person phrased it that way when they made the character. He's been around, he's old, to know his way through the world. And in this case, the world is the city. Remember earlier, the mist hides the rest of the world from us. The mist keeps us in the city. We don't ask questions about the rest of the world. We're just in this city. The city is our world. Always searching for the truth behind the veil. Okay? He is convinced the ancients had secret knowledge. Ooh. I like that. When he finally found the key, an artifact that was later stolen from him, he began living in a dream. What does that mean? Sensing limitless possibilities that sometimes manifest through him, though he hasn't quite been able to control it. So, that could be a lot of things. That sparks the imagination, though, for sure, right? Like, living in a dream is a theme. Okay? This is interesting though too, because he's dubious antiques dealer. He's been around, but we finally found the key, an artifact that was later stolen from him. He began living in a dream. So is it tied to the key, and how? And also, if you've been around and you're an antiques dealer with guns, how'd they steal the key from you? Right? Limitless possibilities that sometimes manifest through him. Does he have some kind of dream powers? Do things come to life? Or does his imagination affect the world around him almost like he's in a dream, but even in like the waking world to the rest of us? Are the rest of us all just in Declan Lestrange's dream? Are we not even really here? We're just all in Lestrange's dream? Excalibur and Flicker. Excalibur, contrary to what many may think, there's more to Excalibur than just a bitter, rich old dame. Why is it bitter? I feel like bitter should also be bold here. I guess bitter would be a negative, where rich old dame could be, should. I mean, I'm about to say should be a positive, should always be a positive, but I don't know if that's true. Like, that would be a turnoff for me. Just really the first part, to be honest. Depending on what you mean by dame. I don't know. True, she was born to a wealthy and dysfunctional family, which I feel like most wealthy families is just, do we ever learn about it or not, right? In fact, most families are, let's be honest. My family certainly is. If there ever was one. Born to a wealthy and dysfunctional family, if there ever was one. So hers is like the worst, is what this is trying to say. But as a secret activist for social change, what? She has her own plans for the city. Plans that became possible when she found a silver bracelet, which turned out to be the ultimate weapon in disguise. So the first guy had a key, and this lady found a bracelet. So it seems like, at least in these characters, like artifacts, like almost like cursed artifacts, right? The artifacts have turned them into rifts, is what it sounds like, with these first two. But it's really cool that like she actually wants social change, and she's probably in a place to do it, depending on how much her dysfunctional family like has control over her or whatever. Interesting, very interesting. Like when I read this a long time ago, I came away from this reading this section a lot less um, enthusiasm than this time. This time I'm like, okay, I see what you have going for you there. Flicker is next. All her life, Flicker was engrossed in her hipster lifestyle and her mad hacker's skills. Who to be, what music to listen to, how to crack the digital world. It wasn't until she literally stumbled into a vision of the horrible future of the city while walking down the street that she realized she is part of something greater. She doesn't know where her expanding senses and time space warping abilities will take her next, but she intends to follow. Oh my goodness. Oh my, I need to write that down on my one shot brainstorming because this is a PC that you can play, okay? But what if? I mean, like timey-wimey stuff, you have to have the right group and you have to have an agreement in the group about how timey-wimey stuff works and stuff like that. So maybe that wouldn't be a great danger or one-shot theme, but man, can you imagine a character that can see the future and also affect it by going back to change the past? But we've seen in modern movies, right? Like, I don't know if you've seen the movies or TV shows where the Flash changes the past to change the present or future, but like, it's usually isn't all good. It's not Back to the Future with Marty McFly, right? And uh, that's that blows my mind right there. That those could just be keywords. You telling me that I could just say DM? I have time traveler on here. You could play the Doctor, right? Like you could easily play a rift of the Doctor, Doctor Who. Um, if you can be Flicker, if you can be Flicker, you could definitely be the Doctor. Um, wow, that's just, and that might be a good way to look at it, right? Because the Doctor goes through, and also there are stories, right? Sometimes with timey-wimey stuff, that the story ends up in an interesting place and can be an interesting story to tell. Again, it's going to be hard to keep the whole table with you on that journey. But if you're timing, space warping, this flicker obviously has the ability to impact it. But let's say it's not like that. Let's say you just learn from stuff, or that no matter how much you try to change it, and maybe this is even part of the story, like in Alice in Wonderland Land Through the Looking Glass, the movie that came out a few years ago, where um, she tried to change things for the better and whatnot, but it didn't. And something was said early on there, and they had time as a character. It was really good. You should watch that movie with going with no expectations, just to watch a movie. I think the people that didn't like it was because they were coming from high expectations from reading the books and this, that, and the other. And I have done that in the past too, and it's ruined movies for me too. Um, Try and go to movies with open mind and without being like, without having unmeetable expectations. Um, but anyway, through the looking glass, she goes and she tries to change stuff, but she can't. She doesn't change anything. She learns things along the way, um, and grows as a character, which is always what we want doing. But maybe if Flicker brings the whole party with them when they travel, and they're also like that's a keyword, so that means there's a role involved with it, which means it could go wrong and it could go bad, right? If you roll low, you probably don't end up where and when you wanted to be, right? So that's interesting. I don't know. I'm just gonna write down Flicker's abilities. And wasn't there like a time cop kind of um, fiction not that long ago? Well, probably was for you guys. I'm old. Um, that where like there were other people, bad guys were going back and trying to change the past, and you had to keep like chasing them to try to stop them or fix the things that they changed. Um, Flicker abilities. And then obviously, if they're like this is a bad guy, and there has to be a way for the PCs to know that things are being changed but haven't changed yet. Was X-Men Days of Future Past? Was that something like that? Or one of the X-Men movies? Um, where Logan had to go back in time, but also it was all in his head. It was weird. I don't know. Sometimes the stuff, uh, I can't wrap my head around it. Flicker abilities, but have gone wrong. That could be an interesting one shot. Have gone wrong, or are being, that's not how you're supposed to phrase that sentence, but that's how I'm writing it, used by a bad guy. Because just their abilities we're talking about. Okay. For some reason, there was a movie, there's a Sylvester Stallone movie where they froze him. That's also coming to my mind when I think about this stuff, which wasn't really time travel. It's just he wakes up in the future. I mean that's a thing. And for some reason, every time I think of this movie, I think of Judge Dredd, but that's not at all the movie I'm trying to think of. Sylvester Stallone. Frozen Cop. How about that? Frozen Cop movie. Demolition Man. I'm just gonna write down Demolition Man. I don't know if I can make that work, but I don't know that I can't. That was a fun movie back in the day. It's probably dated now. There's probably like bad things in there. Some of the lines were really fun though. The bad guy. Some of the bad guy had like really good lines. One of them was, "What's wrong with cops today? Don't they know they're endangering the lives of civilians?" Right? Like, right? So that's cool. Let's look at a couple more characters. Okay, now we have Kitsune. He has an interesting mask going on. And look at this guy, mitosis. It kind of looks like the Thing from Marvel, right? Or like the Hulk, but like Abomination, like kind of a little bit. All right, Kitsune. He looks very agile. He looks like a D&D rogue kind of situation, or like a ninja. Dressed as some ninja between a high school student and a ninja after a fashion. Kitsune seems to most people as a teenager going through a phase. That works fine for Kitsune, who is really a trickster fox spirit. Okay. That's a fun thing to play on. I don't know if you guys listen to podcasts, but there's a podcast right now with Brandon Mulligan, Bria Iyengar, Lou Wilson, Dimension 20, Erica. I believe Erica. I believe her name is Erica. Anyway, she's amazing. You should go follow her everywhere and listen to Worlds Beyond Number podcast because it's amazing. But anyway, she's a witch and she has a fox familiar, and the fox is hilarious, absolutely hilarious. One of my favorite NPCs of all time, and um, everybody there loves him, and he's hilarious. And I thought of him when I read that Fox Spirit. But yeah, go listen to Worlds Beyond Number podcast. Hashtag not sponsored. Nobody's sponsored me. I've been doing this for a week. Nobody's sponsored me. Less than a week. Tomorrow will be a week, and I barely have half the things working. I'm learning. I'm trying. But who is really a trickster fox spirit sent by the gods as a messenger of good fortune to help mankind. So when I first read sent as the gods as a messenger, I was thinking of the character in Greek mythology. I want to say his name is Ares, but he had a bad. They treated him dirty in the Hercules movie, animated Disney movie. But he was like a messenger stuff until I got to of good fortune and to help mankind. And that's really an interesting play. That feels like there's a push-pull right here just in the mythos. Because a trickster who's supposed to help mankind? Normally when we think of tricksters, we think of people like Loki, right? Or if nothing else, things that want to play tricks on other people or other things, right? But this is supposed to help us? How is that going to push-pull? How is that push-pull right there in the own mythos gonna, work? And that is the kind of character I want to play, not because necessarily the rest of the things. I don't know if I would play this character specifically because he's a ninja. I don't know if that's what I want to do. But as far as being a trickster, and he's supposed to be there to be a messenger of good fortune to help mankind, right? That's why he was supposed to be there. But think of somebody like the dragon in Mulan, right? You had a job you were supposed to do. Didn't always go well, right? There's only one thing in the mortal world that Kitsune cares about as much as their mission. It's a boy named Kato. Aww. So Kato is another character, probably like an NPC, as much as their mission. And like Kitsune has like bonded with them and wants to kind of be their protector. That's so sweet and interesting. Yeah, that would be a fun character to figure out how to play. See how a few tags, right? There's 4 tags on this screen. But do you see how they give you different things to pull from, different motivations to use to roleplay with? That's one of the things I really love about this system, is it gives you a lot of defining things in the character's abilities to help you roleplay. Wow, that's rich. That is a rich character just in that small paragraph. It didn't take 3 pages of backstory to flesh this character out and to figure out who they are and how to play them and what their goals and motivations are for everything. This paragraph, that's a strong paragraph. I could take that paragraph or something like that and play that character through 20 levels of D&D easy. Wow. Alright, mitosis. And if a player of mine came to me with this, you better bet as a GM, Kato is going to be involved at least once every, at the minimum, let's say we have 4 players at the table, at the minimum once every 4 sessions, like once, every I like to give every PC a session to spotlight, but that doesn't mean the other PCs are being ignored. It doesn't mean the other PCs, their stuff's still happening. Kato will probably be involved more than that, especially early on. And depending on how the party viewed them and how the party wanted to handle them. Like if they want Kato to stay home and they're getting very frustrated that he's not staying home and keeps getting in trouble, because you better believe that's a hook, right? If Kato's in trouble, that's definitely a hook for this player. And what a hook to give a GM. Oh man, I love everything about that paragraph for Kitsune. Okay, Mitosis is an ex-boxer. Big guy, makes sense. Mitosis' glamorous career. He doesn't look glamorous now, does he? His glamorous career in celebrity life came to a grinding halt when he became involved in a biochemical accident. Uh-oh. We've seen this kind of origin story before in Marvel and DC, right? Driving while intoxicated, well, he hit a truck carrying vats of biohazardous substances. So is he like the Abomination? Is he like the Hulk, basically? Sounds like. Mitt's body, Mitosis Mitt for short, okay, I see what you did there, went into a rampage of rapid cell growth, transforming him into a monster while increasing his survivability in all conditions. So he's very much like the Abomination or like the Hulk. And this is a PC you can play. So they've already basically made you... this is more like the Abomination than Hulk because he's an ex-boxer. He's not a scientist, right? So he doesn't have all the brains. And he might not be able to transform in between like the Hulk or like Abomination, right? He may never become normal. He may always look like this. A lot like the Thing, which was the first one that I said that he kind of reminded me of. Postmortem. That's a cool name. A cool look. And Salamander. Salamander looks like a fire ability kind of guy, huh? It makes sense, Salamanders. Postmortem. Postmortem doesn't know who she was before she died. She woke up as a walking dead body in an abandoned Helix Lab facility, animated by an unknown force. I love everything about that. With the help of special Helix Labs gadgets found at the lab and her newly rediscovered training as an assassin, she began hunting those who operate in the shadows as the city's angel of vengeance. This reminds me a lot of iZombie. They're not working in the morgue and they're not getting like visions of what happened to the people, but like you could add that. You could easily add that. Doesn't know who she was before she died. She has no past memory though. In iZombie, the person had a past memory of who they were, but this person doesn't. She woke up as a walking dead body in an abandoned Helix Labs facility. Oh my goodness. Doesn't know how she's up and walking. Animated by an unknown force. But remember, when you play these characters, they still have their that one side of the paper that is like their regular lives, right? So yeah, they woke up, and yeah, now they're this walking zombie person that is like acting as a city, as the city's angel of vengeance and assassin. But they still have their normal life to go back to, which is a lot like iZombie. Wow. That sounds like a fun character to play. Salamander, an all-around good guy and serious heartthrob. Okay. Let's just move on. Salamander was just a city water worker before he started having dreams about a burning lizard-like creature made of a substance which was both fire and water at the same time. He became capable of producing this substance as a nimbus of primordial plasma. And having realized its potential, started his activity as an up-and-coming crime fighter. Okay, so he's Spider-Man with not really fire powers, but more magma powers, which is cool. Plasma. how did they not work in a joke? If they're talking about him being a heartthrob, how did they not work in a joke about how he's hot? Right? Exclamation point hot in the chat, by the way. Um, that should work. Let me test it real quick. Roll for hot. Did that work? Yeah, 1369. So, apparently I'm not as hot as Salamander. But that's cool. Went to bed late last night, got up early this morning. But I'm into this. I'm able to read these things and they're, my brain's working. Despite the hour and everything. Might not make it till midnight. We'll see how it goes. But I want to keep going for this for night for sure. Alright, so let's look at the next page. Life of a Rift. Okay, so how many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7 they told us about. And again, they were just kind of general things, right? They weren't full character sheets. We will see what makes up a full character sheet eventually. We'll see if we get to it tonight. But just those small descriptions alone, like I could RP any one of those characters with just those small script descriptions alone. I may have to add a little bit here or there over the course of, a campaign or two. But man, powerful descriptions. How did they get those descriptions? When you create your character, the way that you create your character in this game, it'll help you make those descriptions. As powerful as they were, it's one of the best things about this game is the character creation and how if you go through it and you don't get overwhelmed by all the options and everything. Sorry about the dogs. It's too bad that didn't happen and the dogs didn't go off when I was AFK a minute ago. But hopefully it's not too bothersome for you guys. But the character creation, man, in this game, oh, it's good. It's good stuff. All right, let's continue. Life of a Rift. Who am I? You're just trying to eke out a living in the city like everybody else, right? You have your home, your loved ones, your things, and whatever it is you do with your time. But without even knowing it, you're also a gateway to a strange legendary force, a mythos. And real quick, I just want to go back to it. Remember the first two we said it was when they touched artifacts, but then it eventually diverted from that, right? So it wasn't like the city's just full of cursed artifacts and you're just like everybody's cursed by artifacts. Remember the one person got hit by a vat of chemicals, right? And became the thing slash hog slash abomination, whatever you want to call it. And then the other ones, they all have their different origin stories. So don't think this game is limiting you in that way either. It's not like everybody is a gateway, especially as soon as they touch a cursed item. Okay, it just happens that there are cursed items also. Mythos. Okay, Mythos is the legendary force. It's the story that is trying to tell a story through you. It's that other half. It's why you are a rift. It's why you are part person, part supernatural entity. Okay, the mythos is the supernatural entity part. Nobody really knows what the mythoi, which is plural for mythos, are, or for that matter, what rifts are. Okay, not even you. You don't even understand what's going on and what's happening to you and why. This stuff, as far as what we're talking about being part story, part person, that's for the player. Okay? That's not the character. The character doesn't understand that. Okay? Now, if you're playing a certain kind of character, it might be fun. If your character will be the only one that understands that, and everybody else think that they're off their rocker for doing that. Like if you're playing like Deadpool, with the fourth wall breaking and stuff like that. Um, that could be fun. I believe She-Hulk did something similar with that too. But then the other characters in the story should be like, that guy, who's he talking to? You know, when he's fourth wall breaking, stuff like that. Um, they should treat that character like essentially like there's something wrong with them, okay? Because you don't understand what's going on. You understand you have new abilities and new things are happening around you some of the time. You might not always. You might not remember stuff that happens when your uh, mythos takes over. That could be part of how you're telling your story too. Like um, Ghost. Oh my goodness, what was the Marvel TV series they just did with the Egyptian gods? I can't remember right now. I feel like Ghost was part of the title. It was really good. You should go watch it. It was fun. Um, but that character has multiple personalities, right? Your mythos could be the movie out. I don't know why you would do this, but it could be fun. It could be the movie Fight Club. Okay. Where not until the end of the movie did the main character realize what was going on. So like, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Sometimes, in fact, I feel like Dr. Jekyll never knew what Mr. Hyde was up to or what they were doing, right? So you could play your mythos like that. You don't even have to be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You could just say that's how the mythos works through you. Oh, no wonder I heard the dogs. The door's open again. Did I? I might have left it open last time I went out to use the restroom. Anyway, nobody really knows what the mythoi are, or for that matter, what rifts are, including you. You don't call yourself a rift. You don't know what a rift is as a character. The players know. The characters don't. In all likelihood, you are still one of those people. And if you have a hard time understanding character versus player, think of it like this, okay? Yes, you're controlling the character, okay? But if you were actually that character in, say, the horror movie, when we're all watching a horror movie, we're all like, why is that person going, behaving like all the other people in the horror movies do right before they die first? They don't know they're in a horror movie. Okay? Why didn't that person look behind the door? Because they're at home. They're safe. They have no reason to know that, the scary thing is behind the door or whatnot. Why is the person going to take a shower? Seems to me like a lot of the horror movies that one of the first persons to die is always like, they're going to go take a shower. You're like, why are you doing that now? You're going to be the first one to die. They don't know they're in a horror movie. Okay? And your character doesn't know what's going on. You as the player have some control over them to help them tell their story. But maybe that helps you. Hopefully that helps you. If not, there's other ways you can think about it or look at it. But next. What you do know is that lately you've started feeling a strange presence inside of you. Something unknown and yet immensely familiar. Like an old childhood memory. Maybe an accident triggered it, or maybe it was something you discovered within yourself gradually. Now it's a part of you. And when you connect with it, wondrous and horrible things happen as the power of your mythos is unleashed into the world. Dun dun dun. What do I want? You want a lot of things. You want to keep your job. You want to make your mom happy. Or maybe you just want to find the best blueberry muffins in the city. I want a blueberry muffin. You might also want to take revenge on those who have hurt you or to show your true worth to someone. There are different sides of your identity, each desiring different things. Okay, I'm going to read that part again. There are different sides to your identity, each desiring different things. This is talking about real life. And this is trying to help you to understand how this story, even though it's fiction, has lots of fictional elements, will still matter to real people because it's still telling a story that we can resonate with and identify with. Okay? Then there is your mythos. It wants you to go deeper, beyond your petty human desires, and beyond what you know and so habitually cling to. There is a story inside you, a legend, that transcends your personality and the circumstances of your life. It's calling to you. To find it, to unravel it, it's a mystery that you feel compelled to follow. Okay? The mythos is a mystery. Alright, we're already playing a mystery game. We're already playing a game of detectives. And you have something inside of you on top of the mystery that is happening in the main story plot. Your character has a mystery inside of you. Okay, that's a subplot. Okay, you see, just by creating characters and just by being in the system, you have plots and subplots that are building intrigue and stories that have inner conflict, which all the best stories have inner conflict. Who is after me? Many rifts, after realizing there's something strange going on, ask themselves, how about I just forget about all this and focus on my life? In theory, that would be a good idea. But even if you could resist the call of your mythos, there's one fact you can't ignore. There are other rifts out there. People like you, perhaps of a less savory nature, driven by their mythos, looking for new opportunities to further their goals. They may be scheming in the shadows, or going on an open rampage through the city streets. Sooner or later, one of these legends will find you. Okay? Rifts, part of becoming a rift, part of that story taking over a part of your personality, a part of who you are, is that you need to start noticing other rifts. And if you can notice them, they can notice you, right? And there are going to be rifts out there who want to find other rifts to use and manipulate to their own desires. Does that make sense? Other rifts might be as new to the game as you are, or they might be almighty legends who have been around for a long time, gaining power and influence in the city. Some of them might even have a personal interest in you, especially if there's a relationship between your mythoi, your stories may be connected, whether or not you realize it. So, if you think of stories that are like in popular culture, they're already related or team ups. Okay, one of you wants to play Zeus, and another person wants to play Hercules, and another person wants to play Hades. Well, you don't have to, you can do that. And you're going to already know each other. Or at least your mythoi are already going to know each other. Remember how I said earlier about something familiar inside of you, but also new. Well, then you can use that same kind of language when role playing somebody from one of these other mythos that your mythoi would know Noi, would know, but you don't necessarily know, right? That could be interesting and fun. You don't know this person, but something inside of you tells you or makes you feel like you kind of know them or something to that regard. Not all rifts pose a threat, though. The city has enough shades of gray to accommodate a wide spectrum of motives, and you may find rifts who will be willing to help you for their own reasons or learn to be flexible. Enemies and allies can change sides faster than you think. This does not mean, okay, that you have to have PvP. That's not what that's saying. What it might be saying, though, is that maybe you shouldn't ever fully trust that NPC that the Master of Ceremonies is running. Okay? But you don't have to have PvP. Make sure that in Session 0, you and your group talk about PvP. Whether or not it's something that you're open to. A lot of people aren't, and I don't blame them. It can definitely ruin a campaign, a story. It can ruin everything. Um, just make sure that if you are going to do that, you are with good friends, that you know each other, a lot of trust at the table. Okay? Of Mythoi and Mist. A mythos, is a story that is trying to manifest itself in the city. It can be an existing myth or legend, like Excalibur, Salamander, Kizune. It can be a theory or a concept, like an evolutionary leap or the idea of omnipresence. Oh my goodness, that hurts my brain. The idea of being everywhere at once. And at first you're like, oh well, that would be broken. I know everything. I can see and hear everything. No, no. You have a migraine, and you can't sort it all out because you can't focus on one thing because you see everything. Okay? Uh, and it can even be something vague and abstract, a feeling or sensation, like anger itself, or the spirit of well-being. Um, and that would be up to the player to decide how that manifests in the character. You know, the player and the master ceremony and everybody at the table. Everybody at the table is involved in character creation and everybody's characters. That does not mean that you can veto what another player wants to do if they're playing that character. You're supposed to be helpful in character creation because there's a character creation in this game is very flexible. Like if you already know what you want to do going in, you're gonna be able to make it work. But if you don't, analysis paralysis can quickly set in pretty much on anybody. Okay, so have an idea about who you want to play before you start, or run one of the pre-gens, just until you're really familiar, really comfortable, and you know what you want to play. This system very much allows for the coming and going of players and player characters. Okay? So do not feel like you made a character and now you don't want to play them anymore. If there's any reason the next session you can't change it up. Okay? It might be a little awkward, but talk to the master of ceremonies and talk to the rest of the table. Tell them why. Most groups will be very understanding of that, especially like the first couple times playing in a brand new system. Okay? But this system lends itself even more to that with the coming and going of these mythos and their the way that they work in the game. So as far as anger itself being your mythos, that one actually wouldn't be too difficult for me. I would probably just play that like rage in D&D. Although I have a slight problem with D&D's version of it, of there being a lack of consequence for anger. Healthy anger. Anger is an emotion. It's healthy. It's what you do with it that matters, and what you do with it is what's important. Okay, and that's true in every facet of your life and with all of your emotions. Okay, you're human. You have emotions. You feel emotions. That's healthy. Okay, including anger. What you do because your anger is in your control and is important. And if it's not in your control, then you need help. And I don't say that to be disrespectful or mean or unsympathetic. It's it's just a fact. It's just the way it is. But so in this game, your abilities on your character sheet, you get a bunch of good ones, but every one of those you have 4 cards with like I think you start with like 2 or 3 good things. There's one bad thing, that one weakness to that ability, one negative to that ability, which rounds out your character very nicely. You can be mostly good, but nobody's perfect, right? In this case, you would definitely want to talk to the whole table, um, because anger is something that can be, just as a topic, can be triggering, and hopefully I haven't triggered anybody tonight. Um, but it's also unhealthy to not talk about these things. These things need to be talked about, so we're going to get better. But so definitely be, if you're going to want to play something like this, again, that's one of the reasons why the whole table is involved, is so that everybody has an understanding and can talk about what triggers them, what doesn't trigger them. Make sure that if you're running TTRPGs, that you have a system in place for when people need a break, or when something is in the story is something that they don't want to be around or to talk about, that you can sidestep those things. We're all here to have a good time, and sometimes the story can punch us in the gut, and that's what we want, but sometimes it's not what we want, and we know it, and we know some of those things going in. So the more you can get out of the way in session 0 about, just we're not going to do that. And that's for not just for the master of ceremonies, for the players too. Everybody should have veto power on subject matters and topics. And that's not at all what this paragraph is about, but it's important. It's important to say these things, it's important to get these out of the way. Moving on. The mist prevents the mythoi from directly influencing the city. Okay? The mist is there for a reason. This allows the city to exist as it exists now. Otherwise, it would become a chaotic canvas where stories mix, clash, and rip each other to shreds. Does that mean that if you're playing in this setting, that you can't get rid of the mist? No, on 2 fronts. One, it can be part of the story, and then you could have this happen. You could have the city become chaos. Okay? That can be very fun as a TTRPG setting. Okay? Or you could say our city doesn't work that way. We're not using this part of the game. We're not using the mist as a force that keeps us at bay. Instead, we're going to tell a different kind of story. Maybe a story where people do know what rifts are. They do know what mythos are. That's okay too. Okay? This is the default settings. Alright? You and your group of friends play what you think is going to be fun. You can always come back to this if it doesn't work out. To influence the city, mythoi must manifest through rifts, portals through the mist. So rifts, aka normal people that seem to have this link to stories, themselves are portals. In this game, in City of Mist, default settings, rifts, aka player characters, like a lot of the normal people, are portals that the mythoi, the story, supernatural stories, they use the portals of the rifts to come through the mist. It's like a loophole. Okay, the mist can't stop you from I'm trying to figure out a way to say this without it sounding like something else is bad. Okay, so think of it like this, like ghostly possession, but doesn't have to be a negative thing. Okay? A symbiote. Think of it like a symbiote, like Venom. Alright? Think of it like that, but they can only be. And again, Venom symbiotes weren't compatible with all hosts, right? They only had to have certain hosts. And the way in this world they explain that, instead of it being genetic or whatever, it's because of the mist. And some of it is also like genetic, right? It says only certain people can be rifts, and only certain people can be rifts to certain mythoi. At any rate, some kind of awareness or an awakening of the soul is needed to become a rift, so that most common form of a rift is a human resident of the city. Don't get too hung up on that. Don't get too hung up on the word soul. Okay? That can have different definitions depending on the person you're talking to. And some people can be very adamant that their definition is the correct definition. We're here to play a TTRPG story. This is how this system explains what's happening. We don't have to have a debate on what a soul is in order to play this system. Okay? However, even animals, places, and objects can be infused with enough awareness to serve as rifts, known as familiars, enclaves, and relics. Nevertheless, the mythoi are not an alien force trying to invade the city. They are its heart and the blood that runs through it. However, an alien force trying to invade the city could be a fun way to play this. Okay? There's no reason you couldn't do that. Maybe it once was. Maybe it once was an alien force, and now it's just normal. They're here. The people don't have memories. They don't have ideas or thoughts outside of the city. I mean, for that matter, it could be the Matrix, right? Everything in the city only exists because the mythoi live inside it and animate it, despite the mist. So there's some push-pull there that they're trying to incorporate with the mythoi and the mist here. That's what this section is called, by mythoi and mist, where they want it to be like verses, right? A lot like we were talking about earlier with the inner character conflict that's built into the system, where there's a push and pull. They want there to be a push-pull with the mythoi and the mist. That might be taking it one level deeper than I'd be comfortable with it, especially like in the beginning. Just because it's, I mean, if it works for you, if you can wrap your head around it, that's great. There's enough other things going on that I don't know if I also am going to play too much into that. The last sentence there is, it's possible that without the mythoi, the city would simply cease to be. That's neat. This whole section is kind of neat. It got me on a few different rants, right? But it's not. You could have other explanations for your setting or for your game than this. This is the one they went through. I guess they thought it would be helpful, but in some ways to me, it's not. It's not doing direct harm to the understanding of the game, but it might be just unnecessary stuff that is making my brain hurt, and like we didn't need that. We didn't need that here. Does that make sense? Um, it's not bad, but I feel like this. Thinking about this stuff in the future, because sometimes this stuff will come back to you. I feel like I've thought about this in the past. This has come back to me. This section right here, and it's gotten in the way. It just gets in the way. This section could have been left out, or like in a more advanced section, right? Because this was like the quick start rules. This did not need to be in the quick start rules. I'm sorry. Oaks. Darn it. Let me not butcher their name. Son of Oaks? Is that what it is? Why don't I just leave this open? Yeah, Son of Oak. I love you. I love your product. Okay. This section shouldn't be in the quick start. This is just too advanced of a concept to be in the quick start for me. When you have plenty of other stuff going on. You have plenty of other stuff going on. You don't need that concept also. They must have disagreed when they put the book together. Maybe even they had editors. They were like, okay, but like I'm still having a problem understanding this. Can you put something in there? And maybe it's not the concept. I feel like it is. I feel like it is the concept, because I was about to say maybe it's the writing and the language, but no, I feel like it's the concept. I probably won't run my games like that, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Speaking of big concepts, and extra stuff, this stuff I don't mind. I don't mind Cruise. Cases is big. Cases is gonna be a big one. It's 10:30. We'll probably get through one more section tonight, and then call it a night. And then I need to like talk to these people too, about the new stuff. And who knows? Maybe like they'll like what I'm doing. While I'm trying to push their stuff. But let's learn about cruising cases. Being a rift means having questions in a city where all answers are hidden. Okay? That's a heck of a sentence. That's a heck of a sentence. Being a rift means having questions in a city where all answers are hidden. If you're not awake, if you're not a rift, you're just going through the motions. You're not questioning it. You're not questioning the city. You're not questioning your identity. Right? You're just going through the motions. But being a rift means something's awoken inside of you, as we've read earlier. Now you have all these questions. Okay. What do you do when you have questions? You go try to research it. What if the city doesn't want you to learn those answers? I like that. I like the city is a puzzle that needs to be answered. I really like that. You live in a city where countless forces and interests collide. Like it or not, you'll get involved in a case that, at least at first, might seem completely mundane and unrelated to your mythos. Scratch the surface just a little, though, and you'll find the evidence doesn't always add up. This is the nature of your condition, your destiny. You're simply attracted to these bizarre incidents and unsolved mysteries, the mark of the presence of other legends. Remember how we talked about earlier, or how the system talked about earlier, where other rifts are looking for you. It's so for some of them, it's part of their nature, and that's what this is saying, right? It could be part of your nature. It's saying it is, but I would still say like it could be, because it depends on the character you're playing and your mythoi. Okay, not all characters are going to be looking for other rifts. You might be trying to avoid them at all costs. Now that might be why you're looking for them, to avoid them, but like not necessarily. Okay, but you do have to remember you're a detective. Like this game is about being a detective. That's the point. Part of the point of playing the game, and you have this mystery that is yourself and what is inside of you, and searching for the answers of who am I and why am I like this. I feel like it's something we go through in life, not just early on. I feel like at many points in our life we go through that. I've gone through that more recently, and I'm up there. I'm up there in age. I know I don't look like it. I look like a baby cub, but in actuality, I'm up there, and still from time to time, I'm like, am I who I want to be? What do I need to do different to become the person I want to be? And I feel like you should always be striving for that. You should always be striving to be more than you are. You should always be trying to grow. Wise person once told me, if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's a strong way to put it, and maybe it's slightly oversimplified, but it's a good thing to keep in mind that you should be trying to grow always. And this game really like hits that home where you're trying to learn more about yourself and who you are, what your story you want to tell. What is the story you want to tell? And sometimes we need to think of life more like that, right? What's the story we want to tell? What's our, what do we want our lives to be? And in addition to that, we're going to run into these cases, these mysteries outside of ourselves, okay, as we interact with the world around us. And the evidence doesn't add up always. In fact, for me in real life, it usually doesn't add up. And it does feel like sometimes it can be the nature of my condition. Sometimes it's just it's my destiny. Sometimes that feels like, is that a vibe? Is that a mood? Like, come on. Sometimes can't it just be a lot easier? Can't it just more simply? Can it just be a little easier sometimes? But in this game, even more so, just by the nature of being a rift, you are attracted to these bizarre incidents and unsolved mysteries, the mark of the presence of other legends. For one thing, just by the nature of being a rift, okay, and having this mythoi inside of you and wanting to understand it, just that alone would most, I don't want to say most, a lot of people would want to look to other examples of that, other mythoi, to see how it's affecting them, to see, and again, your character doesn't have language for this, your character doesn't know mythois, your character doesn't know riffs, but they do see these weird things happening to other people in similar ways to themselves, and they want answers. They're looking for answers since they've had this thing awaken inside them. They have these questions, but all the answers are hidden. So they're going to be looking to other mythos just by the nature of them being going through something similar and still wanting to see what works and what doesn't work for other people, right? That's just natural. And it just makes sense. To find the answers you are looking for, you will need a broader spectrum of skills, abilities, and resources than you possess. This is why you will team up with other Rifts who are seeking the same answers, or at least need your help with their own questions. And this is your crew. Okay, that gives a great reason right there for why you guys are a party, as D&D would say. Why you guys need each other, why you're not going alone. If you're ever playing a TTRPG with a table, by the way, of multiple people, don't be that guy. That's like my guy. My character's a loner. He doesn't really like want to go out and vibe with other people. He doesn't really want to hang out with other people. He doesn't want to go do things to other people. Unless, like that could be your backstory. But then you also need a reason why he is doing it now. That's on you. That's not on the DM or the GM. Okay? You, the player, need a reason why your character is now either seeking help from others actively, or like just willing to go along, and they need to be, the characters that have to be over it. Okay, the character can complain the whole campaign about the problems of trusting, especially when things go wrong with the party and these kinds of things, right? And it can be actually a really good, easy, not easy, sorry. It can be a useful narrative tool to say the thing that needs to be disproven. Okay? It can be a very useful narrative tool to have that character in your story that says the problem, so that when the heroes solve the problem, the audience understands what the problem was, understands that they solved it, and sometimes it can be even fun as an audience member, and maybe this is an American thing, because I do believe that in America we are taught vengeance is a good thing too much. I believe that's a very bad character trait that American society seems to have, is that vengeance is a good thing. But the audience can be like, Doubting Thomas, or Negative Nancy, or whatever you want to call that character that's saying the problem, and is always saying that this is going to be a problem. This always is a problem. Sometimes it can be fun to jump on the character in the end, where it's like, we overtook it, didn't we? We got there, didn't we? But on the other hand, you're like Eeyore, right? Like I would vote against Eeyore, or root against Eeyore. I like Eeyore. Eeyore can still be, that character. Hell, Eeyore could be your Rift, right? But Eeyore, like a lot of times, didn't go on the adventures with Pooh and Piglet and all the others, right? So you couldn't need a reason for them to go. They did go sometimes, but it was rarer. And again, if you're that character, even though like that's your backstory, right? You're gonna need a reason as a PC. Don't put this on your dungeon master or your master of ceremonies. You, the player, has to solve that conundrum of why your character is now willing to go outside their comfort zone to go against their past and take action. Okay? That was several rants on this one page so far. Let's see if we can get through a little bit more before 11. I'll probably have to call it early tonight, about 11. The pros. There's always a need for professionals who can get a job done. A team of Rifts can accomplish great things, and there are plenty of wealthy movers and shakers willing to pay you to do their dirty work. When you get involved in this line of work, you invariably become mixed up with the people who know people and who can lead you to what you're looking for. But remember who you're working for. One wrong turn, and your powerful employer will be coming after you. Think like the Godfather there, right? And also, like, are you going to be that kind of crew? Are you going to work for a character like the Godfather, or maybe this is just an idea for a DM or something to have Godfather like character to approach you, or other similar characters, right? They don't always have to be that, but that's interesting. Mass vigilante investigations. Oh, okay, my bad. These are different crew examples you can make. That could be what you as a party decide is your party theme. Okay? Right. These are crews. Crews are just like how your character has themes on them that helps you roleplay them. As a crew, as a party, in this game it's called crew, you're gonna have a crew card with themes on that crew card. And these are different kinds of crews you can be. Okay? Mass Vigilante Investigations, that's kind of like Heroes for Hire, Dabblers in the Mist, Conspiracy Busters. We're not going to go through these. I want to get to cases. Or maybe not. Maybe we come back and do cases another day. Because again, I am getting tired and it's getting late. So yeah, actually instead, let's go up here and finish up here. And then we'll hang out for a little bit and see what's going on. And then maybe try my first raid ever. I'm going to have to see if I can message somebody about like who I could raid into. So we talked about the pros. Mass vigilante investigations. There's too much crime in the city, and your damn conscience won't let you just turn your head the other way. One way to tackle crime is to set up a facade that will allow you to snoop around places where you're not supposed to be. Start a private investigation business. Later at night, you can catch up with the bastards and ask the interesting questions. Give or take a few broken bones. Definitely Hero for Hire feels, because like a lot of those guys, right, like Luke Cage and Daredevil and them, although I don't know if Daredevil was a Hero for Hire, but and yeah, I'm sorry I don't know everything about all the Marvel comics, but we're finishing on page 11, but that could be fun. And this is something, again, you're gonna figure this out in session 0. Okay, so don't be worried about right now. Don't think you have to have all the answers. You're all gonna talk about it and figure out what you want to do. And it's not just limited to these 4. You could pick one that's not in any of the books. Okay. As long as the table agrees. That's what's important. Alright, Dabblers in the Mist. For generations, the more aware residents of the city have tried to figure out the mythoi. And fortunately for you, they've left a heap of toys to play with. Artifacts, manuscripts, ruins, and relics. Dabbing in such things has the immediate effect of attracting other older individuals or groups who have been dabbling for much longer. So consider yourself warned. The cool thing about this one that just struck me as I was reading it is like, let's say you have the same group of friends and you've been playing this game, you play a couple of different times, you play different characters different couple times, and let's say you want to come in and you like some of the older characters that you used to play, but you weren't even sure like if you wanted to play them again or not. But you still kind of want the story. You're asking the master of ceremonies, hey, do you want to be like at least have like as NPCs or whatnot? And then, well, what if you are the guys? What if you're the party that just came through after the other party, or maybe not even just after, but just like you go back and you have to deal with some of the fallout that happened in your earlier campaigns. Isn't that cool? Isn't that talk about replayability? I'm gonna write down this section because that gave me ideas for like one shot stuff, right? Remember, I wanted to one shot brainstorm tonight too. So I'm gonna write down Dabblers in the Mist, page 11. Okay, and then I'm gonna write down party that is dealing with fallout of the last party. And that party could be, again, if you have the same group that's played for a long time, you could use like a past campaign that you've done or something. Or if you're a GM and you're running for a brand new group of people and stuff, you could do this yourself. And it's a lot of NPCs and stuff that you have to go through, including like a previous party and stuff. But it could be like that could give you a lot to work with, right?